ei komia e te moana. Te tāua. Ka hai ko hainga tā te ala e mahai ai koe ki toi hoki ki ei. Halo, e mahai ki tātou ki toi hoki. E iei te ala. E iei te waitaimi. Ki tātou e toi papa.
Maloni, my name is Fatofatoga, and I'm the writer-director of the film project Polynesia.
I'm Alia Letoafa and I play the lead Una.
Hi, I'm Brandon Rayleigh, I play Hotia.
Polynesia is a love letter to the many Pacific people who fell victim to the Peruvian slave trade in the mid-1800s. Also known as the blackbirding era of Pacific history, it's a history in the Pacific that's been hugely forgotten, but one that has had a long-lasting impact.
Thousands of people were kidnapped from across the Pacific, from Kiribati to Rapa Nui to Tokelau and many islands in between. They endured the journey to South America where they were separated and sold and were forced into slavery in haciendas and plantations in the newly formed independent Peru.
Our communities have never forgotten them and we continue to remember them through ways we always have. Through song, through dance, through art, through talanoa, and now as a way to make that history reach further, through film.
For those of you who have taken the journey with me on this film, Polynesia is a film that's been in the pipeline since 2017, when I made my first trip to Peru in search for their stories. The stories that the history books don't tell us. On that trip and the many trips afterwards, the stories of hope, the stories of resilience, the stories of love, and the fight for them to return home emerged.
The history books are simple when they speak to this history. They were kidnapped, they were sold as slaves, and they died.
But as Pasifika storytellers, but most importantly as descendants of Tokelauans who suffered this fate and never returned home, we know our people better.
And we refuse to accept that as their narrative, as the way their story ends. Polynesia is our way to give them an honourable story.
A story worthy of the sacrifices they made.
A story that honours them in the way they deserve. And so that they know that they have not been forgotten in the passage of time. That they continue to live on through us. And all through the eyes of Una, a young Tokelauan girl, and her siblings Hatia, Pio and Hei, and a group of enslaved Polynesians who on one day in 1864, on the outskirts of Lima, Peru, far away from everything they know, try to make their way back home to the ocean. And so here we are, crowdfunding to make this very important film.
This film will be Pelisosa Pic's 5th screen project since the company started in June 2020.
And it'll be the first time a film is written, directed, co-produced and starring Tokelauan creatives.
It is also the first film completely spoken in Ngangana Tokelau and Spanish, something that we are very proud of.
Over the past couple of years, the Pelisosa Pics family have been working hard and independently out of Western Sydney, building community around our stories, centering our own narratives, and we've done most of that on a shoestring, or if not, all of it out of our own pockets. But we've done that with love, knowing that that's what needs to be done in order to get our community off the start line in this country. But now we extend that hand out to you, our wider community. This is scary and nerve-wracking and honestly makes me want to cry. But hopefully over the past couple of years we've managed to inspire a few people, or our community, to make this a little bit less daunting and to seek support.
Your donations will help us make the film that this history deserves. As you can imagine, making a film set in 1860s Peru comes with extra costs.
Like many projects we've done to date, our communities around us have helped us cover these in pre-productions. The costume making, the art departments, writing, across other departments to help us cut costs.
So any donations will be channeled to other essential costs, cast and crew fees, accommodation, transportation to our locations in the Hunter Valley, catering, and the hireage of equipment.
It's a big ask, but I know our community is bigger.
Every donation counts, no matter how big or small. And we know it's been tough times over the last couple of years, so if you can't donate, sharing our campaign means a lot. Come be part of the team.
Tell our history.
And make some history while we're at it.
Our ancestors may have never made it back home,
But their stories can. Let's bring our tupuna home.
Let's bring them back home to the ocean.
Ia kawea ko te taimi tēnei i Tokelau ke katalo hatu ai hoki te Fatofatoga O Tokelau i lunga te Pasifika TV ma te leitio i tēnei ahi. E langona lava te hihia whakatahi mai hoki koulua e toi hoki ma tātou polokalame. Henga te tēnā e te tau hoki lawa ona toi hoka hoki te wikinga ki tātou te mani te langi. Ki tōna loho ma tōna ngali lei ki tā ua Tokelau, ko mahai ai, o na tu hei loa ki tā ua I lunga tātou ala leo tēnei, poko tātou polokalame tēnei. Mai, ko te taimi hoki tēnei, haka tālo hatu ai hoki, Fatofatoga O Tokelau mō kou lua, te uluhina o Tokelau, wena hoki e kaukauna te tua, I hoata haitau langa ke kai he puli ai hoki lawa, tapu kinga, atamana, mātua I loto o ka inga. Koko tito he kia po Olivia, ia ka tama I atu te malu kou lua I tēnei ahi. Tālo ni?
E vena hoki no ka malo atu ki te malo tātou ka inga malo ni, malo te mau pēr te olo mat malohi. Ia aho nei, aho lua te mahina o akuhio o ka, aho luhulu tolu. Ia ka vea te tātou polokalame tēnei hoka I loa atu ai hoki. Ko te tātou polokalame he lua I tūla, vea wana mahani ai ki tātou ni. E tau mahai atu nā kaukau nei e nei, ki ni tūlanke hekehe o te tātou polokalame, ka mahi hoki ni te teunga. Tahi ahi nei, ka mau hoki hawa noa o nā whai polokalame I nei, mani tamaho anau hoki Tokelau mua, tamate te tungane pehe hoa anau, pehe ataliki ki a te koulua, ia I lai manu. Ia he ngatai tēnā, ka mau hoki te awanoa ma te he tahi alo Tokelau, ia sempana pai tahi ahi tēnei. Ia e taumohai hoki ke haka heo take I he hiui mai te lauhi ngano, e ve ona hakatahi mai ai ki Brisbane nei, he koi loa pe ko ia ona hoki lawa ko te tamana pe ko tungane ki holani o tamapihi, ia ko pili la tēnei ko hakatalitali atu ke whana I hoki lunga tātou o tātou talanoa ngā ni, mo tātou polokalame, kai moko lua Tokelau mālo ni, mālo te hakatahi mai, kai matamata mai, ke hakalongolongo mai ki tātou pehe mōmua. Tāloha Tokelau. Ia, malo lava te whakatahi mai. Ko te ahi nei kua mau he awa noa te Fatofatoga O Tokelau. Tala noa ma te hanau pe he aloho ki o Tokelau. Ko ia tēnei, ko Eli Manu. Ia, ko te taimi tēnei, hokataloha atu ki te koe Eli. Thank you for coming on. Kai, e ta taulawa koe nā ta mā Tokelau mai ni. Ta aloha ni Eli?
Ia, malo ni koulua. Ia, malo ni te mamalo Tokelau.
E a mai la koe ma te tau malulu o koutou i taniren?
Ia, manuia lava hake tai. Ko ki ua ma tuku mātua na pā mai ki nei mai Porirua.
Oh.
Mane, ia. E mahana atu ki nei taniren lo Porirua ni.
Oh, so le la koutou. Kai hile to lewa te mahana o Brisbane.
Yeah, Marlohi Kotoni.
Maloni, Eli, can you, would like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to some of our listeners or to our listeners this afternoon, please?
Yeah, aka tala atu, aka Maloni, kina kainga kua mahaina, aka longolong mai, tēnei ahi, nā mātua ma nā tamana mātutua, e nā hoki ka inga ma tēnane te nihu. Ko toku ingo ko I lei I hiopo Elkana Manu, ko toku mātua, ko tuputala Manu, ko mātua tuputala ko Ehela Malipoi. I ko toku tamana o Samoa, manu e sau mai no Fuali'i, masa lesi Samoa. I was born and raised here in Dunedin, New Zealand. And yeah, I've been competing for Tokelau over the years in wrestling and judo. So it's a little bit about me.
Yes, I think it is also important to mention that Eli has been a recipient of some of awards. Is that correct? Can you give us just a short story about that, please?
Yep. In 2014, I won the Oceania Championship in Pangpang for Tokelau. As my understanding, at the Oceania level of wrestling, that's the first gold medal for Tokelau. So a very proud moment for me. Over the years, I've competed in judo as well and other forms of wrestling, and have won various Oceania medals over the years. I've also been involved with the development of wrestling in Oceania. I was the regional development officer for our region. So traveled around the Pacific, holding workshops, coaching clinics to try and grow the sport of wrestling in our region. So all around Australia and New Zealand as well. Yeah.
I know you've been working really hard to get the Hangatua up and running. So tell us a little bit of what sort of work you've done within the community, Eli.
Yeah. So with the Hangatua, doing just independent research myself, that's talking to different doina and different people about their experiences, trying to gather information about how Hangatua used to be, the different muna we used to use, and I've tried to incorporate that into workshops. I've done a workshop in Samoa, Australia, also here in New Zealand. Just trying to raise awareness of it, get more people interested, and hopefully it's going to grow into something more. So, yeah, just a little bit about that.
Yeah. I remember when there was the Oceania, was that Pasifika Games, where you had a training session with our Tātou Tupulanga Tokelau I Hamoa. How's that going? Is that still happening or going at the moment?
Yeah. Nā moa te awanoa e hai nā training camp with some of the athletes who come over from Tokelau. That was a good opportunity, having them all there together, some of our rugby players and touch players, just to give Hangatua a go. Taught them a bit of wrestling, Palangi wrestling that I was competing in as well, and also judo. We had a judo session, so myself and Denali Yosefo from Below as well, helping out with that. And we were supported by the Samoa judo team, allowing us to hold the training workshop at their premises. So that was good. The same with Queensland Wrestling, that offered their premises for me to hold a Hangatua workshop. And here in New Zealand as well, the Tawa Wrestling Club in Wellington offered their gym for us to hold a seminar there. So the wrestling community have been quite supportive of me in terms of wanting to promote wrestling amongst our Tokelau community, and also having the opportunity to touch on our traditional form, which is Hangatua.
Speaking of traditional wrestling, a book was launched.
Yep, the Tokelau Government Department of Education managed to link up with them and create this resource around Hangatua, just for the kids in Tokelau, in terms of hard copy, and they've made that available as well for Tokelau diaspora around the world. So that resource is available online on the Tokelau Ngāna website.
Right.
It's a great opportunity for our diaspora to connect to that resource, learn more about Hangatua, and hopefully want to get involved in the future.
So tell us a little bit, how did you, you obviously love wrestling, Hangatua. How did you come up with that idea to actually incorporate ideas into a book to be launched?
Yep. So at the time when gathering information and talking to the elders, the project of the book itself was not on the cards. It was kind of just my own personal research, wanting to engage more in the culture and learn more of it, feeling a sense of belonging, finding out that our ancestors actually wrestled and we have our own traditional form, was more the passion behind driving all of this. So all that information gathered over the years, when the opportunity came to be able to write this resource or this book, a lot of the information was already there. So it was just about putting it to paper in a way that was interesting for the kids to want to read, which was another interesting thing for me because I have no experience in writing any literature of this magnitude. So had some great support as well from the publishers, and I felt very comfortable with the process.
That sounds really great. Having said that, what great timing too with the new website. The language website, Tokelau website? Is that correct?
Yep. Te kupenga o te vātetea ngana Tokelau. Yes, so over 100 resources, language resources on there. Great for us living overseas. We can click in and read the books who have been written by Tokelau authors, Tokelau writers, and a lot of the illustrations as well have been done by Tokelau. And so for Tokelau, by Tokelau, it's a great initiative, and my hats off to Department of Education as well for taking the initiative and making it available for everyone.
Do you have any plans to go to Tokelau for a second edition?
I would love to, and it's definitely in the pipeline in terms of plans laid down or something solid. Nothing at the moment, but it's always my goal to go back there and to get the Hangatua up and part of even the national games. We have our kilikiti, rugby and touch. It would be great to have Hangatua as well as a feature on the national games program. So hopefully something like this book can start the ball rolling in that respect, because it would be great to have the Tokelau Hangatua Championship out in Tokelau, and we can have our wrestlers from all around the world go back to Tokelau and compete in it.
In Tokelau, Tenari, are you guys are you and Tenari on do you guys contact each other if there's anything happening with regards to Hangatua and Tokelau?
Yep. So Denali and I, he's a good friend. We keep in touch via Facebook Messenger. He's letting me know of some of the training that had been going back
Right.
home in Galau. I think they had some mats and things that were getting sorted there. But yeah, definitely, even with all the initiatives in terms of Language Week, helping to promote Pangatua through different challenges, he's been involved in those things as well.
Oh, okay. Have you retired from competing, have you?
I haven't officially retired. In saying that, competitions over the last 2 years with COVID lockdowns has been quite difficult. We had the Oceania Champs, for example, in Guam cancelled due to COVID. With wrestling itself, it's not included as a core sport in the Pacific Games. So as you would have seen in Samoa, there was no wrestling there. So in saying that, it opened the door for myself to compete in judo. But I haven't officially retired yet. There's Pacific Games next year. If judo and wrestling included, or if wrestling's included, I definitely might put my name in the hat. But
Well, that sounds great.
yeah, we have a lot of young athletes coming through. I'm sure some of them might want to transition over to wrestling, but I would love to more take a development side approach to Tokelau sport. Helping our young ones come through.
You have achieved a few medals for Tokelau through Hongatua. So what would you advise, or our young generation? Times are difficult and hard. How would you advise them? How can they actually prep whatever sport?
I feel like everyone has a gift. And if you're able to find what they're gifted and what you're passionate about, then you can encourage them just to pursue that. Give 100%, work hard, and also find good support around you as well. Been fortunate to have good support over the years. My wife has been very supportive of me in terms of hands-on with training as well. I've had my family behind me, community, helping with fundraising, getting me to different games. So I couldn't have done all of this by myself. So I'm very fortunate to be able to have all that support around me over the years. Even yourselves have been very supportive in terms of offering the platform to promote things. So very grateful, and I'll just advise our youth to find good support, work hard.
So where can people go to get their hands on a copy of Pangatua Tokelau?
So the hard copy that I have in my hand here, my understanding is that it's available for all the schools in Tokelau. For those wanting to get their own copy, if they go to the website, there's a contact me or contact us. They can get in touch with Tokelau Department of Education to make a request, and they'll take it from there.
Okay. E he tahi hakamatalanga hui tuku mai?
No, just want to encourage everyone to jump online to that Tokelau language website, have a read of Hangatua Tokelau, have a listen. It's also available as an audio book, so you can just play it, look at the pictures, and just listen to it being narrated in both Rana Tokelau and also in English. So it's great to be able to have both those options there, especially for us wanting to engage more in our language, connect more to the culture. Hangatua is a good way for you to do that as well. So definitely just trying to promote the resource and get more of our people interested.
So when are you going to make another little video? Because we have been watching the Muna video, Pokotau video. When are you going to try again and see? Because I think it is creating a lot of interest in the younger generation.
Yeah, definitely. I think I mentioned this to Hala the other night, was the Malo challenge. So Tito, if you want to get ready to throw the Malo on and send me a video, I'll put that together with all the other people participating, and just to get that part of the culture revived again. With Hangatua, a lot of the muna, or the traditional moves, require to have a thick belt where they used to grab the malu or the loincloth.
Yeah.
So that the malu is a very important part of Hangatua. And for us to get back to that, we need to promote it more and make it okay for us to wear the malu or don the malu again, the way they used to. So I'll be looking forward to your video, Ito. Okay, Taini.
E ni aloha ngai hui e tuku mai e koe ki o tātou ka ingai ki nei Brisbane?
Anywhere.
Or wherever?
Yeah, I want to say a big haka e tailahi lele to all the people who've supported me over the years with Hangatua, with representing Tokelau on my own endeavours. Shout out to the Brisbane community before I headed out as well. They've done a big fundraiser for me out there, and also Kainga in Perth. They put on a big fundraiser on my family there. So shout out to all the communities around Australia that have helped me out. Sydney, all my family in Sydney, Melbourne, and all around New Zealand as well. Auckland, Wellington, Dunedin, everywhere. So I've got even aunties overseas in UK, Auntie Rosa, and all around the US. So lots of people have contributed to where things are at today for me. And I'm just very thankful. Ki te aliki mo ngā mea uma. Ake tailahi lele mo te awanoa, tēnei ahi ni, aloha atu mo koutou uma.
Io, halo tō hio, ke ki lātu hoki, ma hakalongalongo atu hoki ki te koe ma u talanoa mai. Te hia o ke maua ke ki lātu ma hakalongalongo atu ki nā tamuhai ngā koe. Ni kai mai hoki lawa mo tamahana o Tokelau ki te Hangatua. Tātou talo pēa ke maua pēa e koe te ola ma te malohi wēna tā kua mai e koe. I hoki te tahi tournament e lata mai. Talohi e mau pēa koe te ola ma te malohi. He ngata hoki ki te koe ma te hea pōti o tō ka inga. Wēna tā kua mai e koe. Ka hautai hoki mo taimi kua ka awano mai e koe. Ni te uhio ki te tātou polokalame makalongalonga atu hoki na te mamalu Tokelau ki te koe ma hokamatala mana hakamuemuenga o koe ni. Ka e mo taimi tēnei ilai e hokahetai atu ki maua ni ma moko lua wena hoki e kawea ki maua mahi o Tokelau hokalongolongo mai ki te koe i te ahui tēnei. Ka hetai lahi ni.
Thank you.
Ia, ake tailahi lele. Ia, tohani ko lu.
Tohani.
Te hetai. Ia.
Tēnā Tokelau. Ono ki lawa ko te pihi ki tātou polokalame, ko tēnā ko hakalongolong ki tātou, ki he aloho ki o ki tātou alala mai i Dunedin. Ia, e veo nā tātou i loa, ko nā taumahainga te tangata, e taumahai lawa ke maoani, ia na manui ana taumahainga i lai o ka he tailahi lele. Taimi nei, ka tuku atu ki tātou DJ, ke tāmahi tātou pehe tātou hiwa ma celebrate whakatahi.
Muna tēnei ko te puki te vai. Toko i mua ko Zion ko te manu, tēnei ko te puki te vai. Ko toku ingoa ko Matthew ko te manu, tēnei ko te langa. Okay, bye. Toko ingo ko William.
Toku ingo ke talanga. Te muna tēnei ka te puke.
Maloni ko toko ingoa ko Milan ko toko China ko Elijah. Maloni ko toko muna ko te pukata control no te hele. Ko toko ingoa, ko sone, ko te muna, tēnei, ko te puke.
Ko toku ingoa ko ilai. Ko tēnei, muna, ko te tapa.
Malo nei, ko toku ngā ko cruise, ko toku muna ko te puke nā vai.
Ingoa ko makaare. Ko tēnei muna, puke te mai. Ko te puke te mai. Maloni ko taku ingoa, ko cheche, ko taku muna, te kola.
Maloni, taku ingoa ko paula, taku muna ko te manu. Maloni, ko taku ingoa ko te toa, taku muna ko te hiulu. Maloni, taku ingoa ko ione whaka, ko taku muna tēnei, ko te puke o te vai. Maloni, ko toku ingoa ko Nathan, ko te muna tēnei, ko te hiulu, ma te tapa. Hiulu, hiulu.
Maloni, ko toku ingoa ko Makai o Pākome, ko toku muna tēnei, ko te puke o te vai.
Maloni, ko toku ingoa ko Lincoln Timoteo, ko te muna tēnei, ko te kola.
Maloni, ko toku ingoa ko Ilai, ko toku muna, ko te hele. Ko toku muna, ko te langa.
Maloni, ko toku ingoa ko Tuisana Iwasa, ko Noa Iwasa tēnei, ko toku muna ko te Pokutau.
Malo, ko toku ingoa o Tony Tiki, ko ne hau mai ata ko Tokelau. Hakali atu ko tēnei muna ki te hele. Ko tēnei ko toku hua.
Tokelau. E lua i tūkai ngā langa. O te whangatua. Ia, e kila mai laki e. Maua. E tahi langa.
visiting our loved ones back home. So Digicel International are giving you the chance to win one of 6 return trips to the Pacific, a total prize pool of $15,000. Each trip gives you and a loved one one chance to visit your family in the Pacific. Simply send $30 or more Digicel top-up through our Digicel International app or website or participating retail outlets, or send money transfers with ClickX or Digicel International for your chance to win. Terms and conditions apply. Promo is valid until end of October 2022 for Australia, New Zealand and US customers only.
Tēnā. Hei intino na hihiwa, mo tia koutou maua he maha ke hihiwa wa ko te camera hakahanga la mai mai ki te maua. Ia, ko te kai hakahano pia lawa tātou polokola me. So, at this point, we would like to introduce you to Sam Panapa. Hakahei Sam, thank you for partaking in our Zoom meeting today. How's everyone? I understand koutou nei he mālohi.
Yeah, we're all good. Thank you, Siene Tito, for inviting me to your show. And yeah, the family are well. We did have a bit of a flu sort of circling around, but everybody is all good. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. Now, Sam, if I could give you the opportunity to just basically introduce yourself, I'd rather have you do that than me making a mistake.
Never make a mistake, Siene. No, well, I guess, yeah, we'll start with a brief introduction. I guess coming onto the show is part of that to announce that to our Queensland community that are pretty much available to come back to look at what aspects of sport needs supporting for our community, since being involved with the league in 2011, 12 and 13 with Tokelau. So I'll keep with that that introduction in terms of the rugby league, and rather than speak about my past, I just want to sort of maybe use the time, just to focus on what's immediately on my mind without making too many promises, but just to say hi to everybody and that I'm looking forward to moving back into the community.
Right.
So in 2013, rugby league in Queensland took a really big turn in terms of the Pasifika community.
Yeah.
A tournament was designed and put to the community, and that's called the Queensland Pacific Island Cultural Carnival, and it's based around rugby league. But the concept of it was that all the nation's community who were involved in rugby league, who didn't get the opportunity to represent a country of sorts, whether it's Australia, New Zealand, or their own national country, had an opportunity to do that through this new concept. And so a group of us got together and formed this group, this leadership group,
right,
in 2013. So, but prior to that, Tokelau was already involved with rugby league in the tournaments. This involved Sana Baker, Luka Banapa, Lucky Bacon, and Jack Alolo, and many other community people as well prior to 2013. And that's where I was introduced, to Tokelau to help support and run the teams into those tournaments. And it was a really good community gathering. A lot of support was provided, and a lot of the players enjoyed and the community for about 2 years of the tournament, before the concept was reviewed and turned into the Cupid Carnival that it is today.
Yeah.
So during that period in 2010, 11, and 12, Simona Vaving and I basically sort of held the program together. But we could see that the effort that was put together during that time to field the teams was a massive undertaking, because we had people that were coming from all corners of Queensland to try and make up teams and trying to position trainings, and I think that type of story that we live, to try and bring community together to try and even to do something like sport. Well, we realized that this was such a huge effort every year, and the cost behind that. So I decided to, with someone to pull back somewhat with that, to allow some breathing space for a community just to settle, because you can imagine at that time a real euphoria was being created that we could really get something moving for the community despite the efforts in there.
Right.
But we knew that if we continued down this path, we were going to actually cause quite a bit of harm in terms of the families trying to travel, families trying to negotiate money to try and travel, all those things that are very hard for us anyway to put together. So the idea to step back somewhat, and we use touch to do that, just to pull back somewhat, keep sport going, and use touch as a way to try and keep the community together. But as we foresaw, the tension and the strain was great, and so things actually settled a lot, and we didn't have much representation since then, which is fine. It's no issue in terms of the effort that was put there, but I spoke to Simon and we both agreed that to take a step backward and give the community some breathing space also allowed the communities to grow, to allow that families to grow. The children that were young at that time, about 5 to 8 to 10, would grow up to be now 14, 15, 16-year-olds. And so we will see that progression socially through our community in Queensland since 2013 when Cupid arrived.
Right.
So Cupid has grown until today, or prior to COVID, that I was heavily involved with the organisation and the operational part and the leadership part, and that's how I ended up not being involved with Tokelau too much or at all.
Yeah.
The person that actually came in to fill in that gap was Tamara Laval. She was great. So she held that part in there and trying to sort of keep that connection going while I helped the leadership program with Cupid get underway. So what's that, 2013 to 2019? Yeah, that's about 7 years. Cupid is now stabilized enough for me not to be involved heavily in the Cupid leadership program.
Because you have been very much involved in Cupid, and I have to say that job well done. I think my focus this afternoon is basically to sort of like ask about our children. Are they getting left behind with regards to improving their skills in league?
Yeah, that's an interesting question about being left behind. The sports system in Australia is quite specific.
Yeah.
And I think the opportunities for all people to involve in sport is there. And league is one opportunity. And it will be similar to our people in New Zealand as well, who have taken the opportunity of a sport like rugby league and many others like netball as well, for us to participate, to grow individually, to grow as a family, to grow as a community. I think that's established, well established in both countries. I think the youths, in terms of in Australia context, in my experience now being involved in Cupid with rugby league and looking from the outside into where Tokelau is positioned at the moment, the opportunity is even greater now for our youths. And then I go back to the social development that we've all been experiencing in the last 10 years, is that we've had family growths, we've had stability in families. We're now staying in Brisbane a lot longer than they usually did. Because remember, in 2008, 9 and 10, we had families moving between Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane and even further out to Western Australia to Townsville to try and get work.
Right.
So families had to, move, and so we couldn't stabilize anything concrete in terms of sport development for our people. And Simone and I, we realized that even though the effort was behind that for those that were, sort of looking at staying, like yourselves and my family as well. So I think we have that opportunity still for that need for our families to take hold of the opportunity that's still there, to develop our youths in sport, like league.
In general, yes.
So I go back to, that journey I'm at the moment. So I pulled out of the leadership of Cupid. So I'm not, I haven't stood down altogether. I'm still in the background because it's part of a leadership act that I need someone else to step into place, because otherwise if I stay there, I'll be there till I'm 100. But by stepping down means that someone else had to take the reins, and so I'm there to support them. But in doing that, it opens up that opportunity that I was talking about to come back to Tokelau in the community here in Queensland, to start piecing together where we can actually provide a more stable support for our youths and family than we did back in 2008, 9 and 10 or 11. So QPIC as a league program, I think that's going to carry on to the next 20, 30 years. Pacific nations will start involving themselves in there. I think Tokelau will be part of that still. And I'd like to think that would be a more stable participatory country in tournaments like QPIC.
Okay.
So my call out at the moment is really just to announce that I'm actually, open to any suggestions or ideas or people that in the same line of thinking to come together, and then let's open the conversation to see where we're at.
Yeah.
I think that's the best place to start, rather than trying to sort of bring too many things on the table and being overwhelmed with what we have.
I think I just wanted to ask a question, because it sounds like that you're doing a lot, not just for the Pacific Island community, but more so for the Tokelau community. QPIC, it has been a wonderful experience for us, every October, every year we'll go and watch, Last year we were there and we saw how big it is now. With regards to our children that are currently playing league, with you yourself, you have the skills not only in league, but more importantly, in leadership. How can you have an input? Would love to have an input to help our young ones develop their skills. The only reason why I'm saying this is that we see a lot of Samoans and Tongans. They actually make it to the top teams here in Australia. How can our children do the same?
I don't think there's any problem that they can do the same. I think that's very much we, in my belief, that our people have all the abilities and capacity to be as good as any of the nations that are in the Pacific to reach any pinnacle in sport. What we have here in Australia, in the context of Queensland, say, our critical mass in terms of population for Tokelauans alone, I think it's just tipping 1,300 people. If it is 1,500, then we could be in a position to actually formulate, a strategy to actually bring some form of support to our people. But when we compare population numbers to nations like Samoa or Tonga, and the others who have got a larger critical mass to draw on, we are facing a huge challenge, to try and bring people together. And this goes back to what I experienced and what Simona and I experienced in 2008, 9, and many others, is that we had to rely on people to travel vast distances to actually try and, bring numbers together, where some other nations, they don't really need to advertise. So that's one issue that may need to be addressed, is how we're going to address that, the diaspora that we're currently facing at the moment, to try and bring together. But I think we're always searching for a strategy to try and alleviate that, and many of our people are engaged in that. So, and that's why I referred to that. I really welcome to open the conversation about Queensland, Brisbane, to try and sort of bring something together, and not to be remiss and forget about the other states or our people involved in the other states. And I will think that naturally will come together when we open the conversation. But I'd like to direct, our thoughts to the great work that has happened in terms of a governing body for rugby league in New Zealand, and that's Luther and Ron Pereira's work, to establish a constitution this is a really good step. This is one of the most amazing steps that has lifted my heart when that process was unfolding. That this is a really good position for Tokelau to see as a beacon to actually bring together, that type of a stability into our community context. So, for example, if it is rugby league that we want to pursue, then we should adopt a lot of that model into the start point here. The idea has merit, but it actually goes back to how many people are available to actually run it.
Yes, and committed.
And that's right. And that's where I'm at the moment. I've been involved with Cupid for many years, and now I'm willing to come back to re-engage with our community to find that start point, to find the people that one, have the commitment and passion, and then we'll just work it off from there. So we're not biting too much off that we get overwhelmed, but we can just keep things moving together. And this is the idea based on the constitution that's been laid forward up, in the rugby league governing body.
Right.
But if we look at that introduction to of that governing body, it actually lends itself in a wider scope, for us to think about, to talk about. The question would be: is rugby league just the only vehicle that could support our people in sport? I think I'd like to explore a much wider scope in sport to see if we can engage our people in other areas of sport beyond rugby league. And I noticed in the report before, wrestling seems to be something that's popular.
Yeah.
People. So yeah, they're conversations I'm willing to open and see if we can start something very small and then build it up, from that. And that's something that I've learned, through my leadership at QPIC. But yeah, going back to Lutelu and Ron's work and everybody else that were involved in putting that governing body together, that's a really good stepping stone for us to, as a lead for us to follow. So
yeah. With the, I'm just listening to what you're saying with regards to developing not just our children in sport, rugby league and the other sports, but also leadership. With this idea that you've got, how are you going to, approach our leaders, our communities, our associations here in Brisbane? And if there's anybody interested in this, how can they get in touch with you?
I think email will be the best way to contact me.
Okay.
Sampanapa0 or one name, sampanapa0 at gmail.com.
Have you had any opportunities to converse with any of the community members of the associations here at this point?
None as yet. So as I mentioned, I've just sort of stepped down from the leadership group from QPIC. So so I'm eager to see where this journey will take, and I'm looking forward to meeting the community a lot more. So I think there's one strategy would be to open up the conversation and see who's interested to to start mapping things together.
Yes.
And so what would be useful for people that are interested to coming on board for conversation is that perhaps we may need to engage in creating a database of athletes and coaches who are involved in all sports who are Tokelauan. I think that would be a nice place to start. So if we could, people who come on board and want to offer some contribution, if they know someone that's playing football who's Tokelauan, who is in a under 15 rep team and we don't know who that is, then bring that name, to our conversation, so we can start putting a list together, and then coaches will be the same, sport trainers. So what we'll end up having is that we could actually have a good, strong database of communication that we could look into. Not only that, we could actually provide a pathway then for any of the, our people who are looking for more qualifications in their field,
Right.
in coaching, or qualification in tertiary education, so that we can start mapping out something a little bit more concrete. So as you can see, just as I'm thinking, it's a very, very basic baseline start point that we're not actually looking to try and win a competition or trying to, to enter in a competition. What we're actually trying to do is find out exactly what we have.
Yes.
And then once we reach that point, then we can go. That will take some time, I would imagine. And that's what happened to Cupid.
Right.
We had to do an analysis about how many nations out there are willing to commit. So without that commitment, then things are very hard work. But so please email me, and then we could set up some Zoom. We're all very versatile now with video sessions and that, and we could put something together. So mind you, I'm only speaking from a Queensland perspective, but if it grows wider than that, then we'll see how that unfolds. But we could talk about that a bit more detail with people.
Where to now, Sam? So obviously with this, there's a lot of engagement that needs to happen. So what are your plans at this point to ensure that our community, especially our young people, will get this information?
I'm going to go to the meeting tomorrow. I'm going to go to that. I haven't been to one yet, so that's my first thing, is to go to the meeting, listen to the meeting, and then find out the leadership that's occurring now, and then see if we can emulate that. And that'll be, I think, satisfactory to actually bring the conversation together, because that's where the plan will be revealed. It won't be my entire plan, if that makes sense. All I'm announcing now is that I'm available to come back into the community, willing to talk to people who have some good ideas, who may have want to open up the conversation, and then we can talk from there. And then so while we're looking ahead to that idea, Sandy, that of a strategy and plan, that probably won't get announced maybe much later in the year. Because we do like outcomes, and people like to see that. But at this stage, this is just an announcement to say that, hey, look, really thankful for this opportunity to come and speak to our community through through your channel here.
Right.
And then again, sort of open up that organic idea that I'm presenting, that the less structure it has, then we'll be able to sort of move towards structure when we actually got something a little bit more concrete, in that, and then we can move from there. But
QPIC was a success. It still is a success. It's still going. And I believe it was the commitment from the beginning right up until now as well. It's still going. And I guess with what we're trying, what you and the others are trying to do, I think this is a fabulous idea for Tokelau. Mostly our children, the sports they're into. I mean, I think we're both over that figure that I don't want to mention on air, but I'm sure there's a lot of kids that would be interested, mainly because they play a lot of sports. They're still at school. Some of them have left school and now studies at uni or at Tex. I think that the potential to reach to those young kids are huge. So perhaps, I don't know, it's what's the plan?
I think what you mentioned there, the communication network, has has never gone away, or it to me that's always been there. So, but what I think may be missing, and is what I think Ryan and Luther have actually done a fantastic job to fill in that void, is to now see something more concrete, a structure that people can actually model off and use to actually engage, use that network of communication to reach our people. So, so an example would be that if our people had the communication that emailed me through and said that, hey, look, we really want to sort of put a team to Cupic. How can we do that? And if the interest is very strong, and then, if we do create a database of players, we'll be in a good position to actually compete at Cupic, if that makes sense. But that's only a model off our governing body in rugby league, which is in New Zealand. You see, this is the potential that we're talking about here for our people to see. It's not a plan, because the plan will unfold later. But what we're seeing here is the organic nature of how our people, I'm thinking will operate in terms that, look, I've come back into the community. If people see that as a beacon, we can communicate. If there's enough interest here that if, hey, it might not be rugby league, it could be, I don't know, say for an example, wrestling that was just on. If people see the passion in wrestling is something that they want to pursue, then let's have a look at it. Based on the model from our rugby league. So we could tailor that, in there. But I'm biased, I like rugby league. I'd like to see that, flourish, but it's not for me to decide on a community level that this is what we need to do. The community needs to decide that. I'm just there to ensure that, if we are to move into a certain direction, that I can offer my experiences and my qualification to help, our community move. And that reminds me of the first, meetings we had with Cupic. And the philosophy is that the more slower we move, the better it is, the stronger that we will become. And this is I'd like to adopt that philosophy for our people, is that, let's move it slowly as we do, bring in some cultural emphasis into our thinking that aligns to forward thinking towards sport, if it is the vehicle that we're going to use to actually bring the development to our people.
How important is it, Sam, to have the right people to actually make it happen? How important is that?
As you all, this without saying, the right people is important. The mix and the chemistry of people working together is even more important. So we can get people together, but it's actually trying to create the chemistry together. But as with all social development, there are challenges, and that's how life is. We just got to be able to manage that as smoothly as we can. Everybody's got their own versions, their own opinions, and we've got to ensure they're protected. The individualities are protected. But in the end of the day, collaboration and the way that we pull together, and if I may say, I think it's, perhaps you'll correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's a position of culture from Tokelau that needs to be centralized in this. And that's how we can collaborate a lot more easier together through culture, if we understand that, and we teach each other what culture looks like, from our elders through to our adults, through to our youths, young youths, and through to our youths. If we collaborate on that level, and then we can bring in all the the bells and whistles that Western society from Australia and New Zealand have to offer, and I think we'll be moving in the right direction. So yes, people are important, and without sport, without people, sport won't go. But hey, let's see where we could sort of engage in conversation and see what comes out of it. And yeah, so yeah, people are good.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Well, Sam, I'm going to go off topic. How's Mum's birthday plans coming along?
Yes, yeah, it's fantastic. It's yeah, so she turned 90 on last Thursday. So we have our celebration this weekend coming. So yeah, it's going to be a fantastic day and lots of food, and no doubt lots of singing and lots of family. So
anything else you want to say before we say thank you?
No, look, I'm really sort of thankful that had the opportunity to come back to the community and sort of walk alongside the community again, and really looking to learn, about our youths and learn about our community people in leadership at the moment and see if I'd be of service, to our Tokelau people.
I'm actually looking forward to creating that database. I think it's going to be so interesting.
Yeah.
Whakahetai, Sam. We'll definitely see you on Saturday.
Yep, definitely will. Yeah, and thank you again for the opportunity just to come on here and shout out, and hopefully the next time I come back on we'll have a little bit more concrete. Just to ease the planning and people's minds and stuff like that.
Thank you, Sam. Take this opportunity to thank you for coming on our program, and I suppose for our listeners, hopefully they can pass the word around with the things that you are looking at in terms of our young ones, our young people, in terms of league or any sport. And I'm pretty sure you will get some email from today, hopefully. And for the rest of the week, Sam, I will wish you all the best, and with your journey as well, with trying to get back to community. Wish you all the best, Sam. Hatai ni?
Hatai.
Yeah.
Pani.
Toha.
Ia te mamaluko lua hakalongalonga mai tātou proklame. Tonu na hakalongalonga uma mai ki tātou ki te Talanoanga Fatofatoga O Tokelau, wena hoki ma te uhi o tamana tēnā ki a Sam Pānapa. Mai kaina mihi te koulua te email address o te uhi o tēnei, i ko Sam Pānapa 0@gmail.com. Ia koulua na puli. Ia, all lower cases. Ko te mea ki tēnei tau hai ki ei ke mo tamahanau, ni? Tamahanau o Tokelau, ke iei he ahoki, he awala mahai ai ona tāhao ka tahi pe ki kila ki ni tāhaonga, he nako te liki hoki wena kalonga mai te maluko lua. Ke iei ni tau ki kilanga, peni kilanga, mo tamahanau Tokelau, ni? Ke iei ni tāhaonga ke involve ki ei, mai ebe hoki nakalonga mai ko lua ona hoki lawa ko te uhi o tēnei na tāhao liki, ia mo ko tēnā hoki lawa tēnā kila ki nā tamuhanga i eia ke iei he kau ma Tokelau e ki nā tāhanga i nei e mahani hoai i tauhanga takitahi i QPEC. Mai atonu hoki be ona iei e wako lewa hoki e wena talano mai te uhi o tēnei, kua e tau hoki ona toe hawaliwari atu ia ki nā nohonohonga Tokelau.
Ki kilanga, ni?
Ke ie hoki ni he awa noa ke mālama e hoki ia i pewe hea te mea te tauna hai, pehea hoki te hea konga, ke heha ni lahi ai hoki ki tāna ngā luenga te ia e tau hai nei mō ke tuku ni mahaunga ki whanau, ke heke hoki tēnei ke tāhao i tāhaonga tēnei tāhaonga liki. Ka e wea na mālama mai, pēna mai hoki te maluko lua nā hakalongolongo mai, ia he wea hoki la nā ko te liki a wā e hoki i e tahi whanau o Tokelau e nā interest i e tahi tāhaonga ko nā sport hoki ko lua nā puli, ko te email address tēnei a Sam, ko Sam Pānapa 0@gmail.com. Ni all lower cases, ko lua nā puli, o i Talanoa. Talanoa ki te uhi o tēnei, ke winia hoki ni au hili, hoko lua ke hoai ki te uhi o tēnei, ko te kaukauna tēnei. He's more than happy to answer your questions. I'm pretty sure it'll help you as well in terms of your decision making, ni? Kai
Tonu ko te manatu mawalunga lawa ko nā tau mahainga i e nei ke iei he hilihilinga mā Tokelau ki nā ki langa ki te hawali ki mua. E tuhi ai mā tātou whanau mā nā tākalonga ke he. Ia kahek tātou i ki kila ki a Sam Pānapa e lahi tona experience ki nā tūlanga venei. Ka e hakata ua hoki e ia ke hoka mālama ma haka māina ki te tātou kai ngā Tokelau. Iki nei, ni? He nā ko ki nei hoki la. E wea no tākua mai, ko koini halani, ni? Kai vela vai ki kila te alo tēnei Tokelau ki a Sam Pānapa. Ke na noho māina uma ki tātou, haka tau mālama lau mauma. Ni kai mai he i ana tau moha e ngai e nei. Nā takitakinga, peko nā matakupu kehe e ono manui ai e Tokelau i nā mea venei. Kai hoki laki tātou ki kila. A tono ko te hehili, e te hehili, na hehilingi ai te alo tēnei Tokelau. Pe tā ua, te iloa e tangata. Nā he kui wakinga ma te ao ngā ki Tokelau. Ma te tūlanga o nā nohonohonga haka e ulopa, ni nā haka la putuputonga. Ia vela wan haka longolongo mai ko lua, he tūlanga tā ua. Ma tā kupu tā ua, ke hoka tau mālama lama, ma noho i loa. Ia, hek tātou i kila ki a Sam, lahi lele te experience o ia i nā leadership development, ni, nā kia tātou whanau. Ko tōna winga Tokelau, he veia na tāko mai a Sam, ka he ai ni tino e he ai hoki hea poti ia ka he ai hoki hea poti e he ai hoki ni tino a tonu ko te kiki langa ke manui ana tau mahainga i e nei a wako te hawali atu ki mua Tokelau kai mai hana tamaha anau i e nei tuputupu a kei nā takalonga ke he kehe kai penia hoki lava ni mata kupu e te tau na hoka manino pe he manino ai koe i nā kiki langa i e nei kua tau mahai atu ki e i te alo tēnei Tokelau ke maaina i e Tokelau, kai ke malama hoki ki tātou. Awa, ko he atu tēnei tātou te tamana tēnei tau mahai ki mau mō Tokelau. I think it's a really important la, ke hea poti te manatu tēnei. A haia i e ni he hili, a tono i hea hako i luma nei. Ka tau mahai ai te tamana ke haka mautino mai hea heope ni, ke haka tala noa nā mata kupu i e nei a wai tāua ke noho malamalau mō ki tāua ni Tokelau. Kai ke tuku atu te ka tātu tātou pehe te DJ haka tō wāmali ai hoki tātou polokalame te hea nei. Ia, ko te pehe tēnei nā hatoa tāi lawa i lunga tātou polokalame pehe tēnei he pehe ni awaloha na tuhi e te alo tēnei hoki Tokelau pehe ataliki hoki Tokelau ki a ia pehe ni ana alohanga ki tona mātua. Ia tona mātua te ia e ki kila tu lawa matu hia hia. Ni tito e hako au, ka malama mai hoki te pamalo te kahi kolama. Ia te aho na katoa, i te tauhanga nei na katoa i tonu walukulu tauhanga mai ko te pehe tēnei na tūhia hako pitoa mō te mātua te kāinga. Kai haka longolongo mai.
Ke
Io e tuhi ai hoki ma te hokalongolong mai te maluko lua ki te pehe maali e tenei. Ke ka watu atu hoki ni ni alohaanga hoki, ki ni hoanau hoki, ko te hau nei kato ai, ni ahe o hoanau i e nei, o te hau nei, te hoanau tenei ki a tapulua holani, ia wena hoki e Manuela, ka lolo. Mai ka beho ko taimi tēnei ke mamoli tuai hoki ni alohaanga ki te tamana ki a tāna malaki i bea nakalongo atu he katotoa te mālohi i te pai taimi tēnei. E beho ki lao na maha hou te na hai proklami e nei e tuai hoki ma te tukua hoki o hoanau kai mai hoki i ka inga ki la tau ku momoe atu. Ke aloha lawa te tua, ke tauhi pēa koutou, ke mana tu pēa e koutou. Na alohaanga kai mai hoki na kamunianga te tua ki e te ki tāua. Ia he tama leo tēnā e tua e hoki ma te hokalongo i hoki te pehe tēnei ma mana tua ai. I tamana tēnei ki a tāna malaki wena hoki na ngai hoanau o nā hoanau i e nei. Ke tapulu holani wena hoki i a Manuela.
Kala hoanau ni?
Ka lolo i nā hoanau. Ia kai wena hoki la ki te most importantly ni, ki te mātua ki a ane. Panapa ia ke aloha te tua, te mātua ke hakamoni atu ki te koe, ki te iwa hulu tauheanga o koe, mutia koe kua pā ki ni tauheanga e lahi wena, kai ki te atu ki lawa te mālohi o koe, ia ngano ke lawa ka tauhinga, ma te puipuinga o koe e tātou te mani te langi. Ia manuia koto wa whanau, ia wena hoki. Ke manuia hoki, ia tamuhainga. Wena hoki ana hoa mai. Io, aloha. E langona hoki ko te pehe tēnei wena kalongona mai kaulua, e wena hoki ki te tākua atu toko hewa, ni awaloha i ena a te uhi tēnei ki a pehe ki tona tamana pele. Ia kai...
Mātua pele.
I tona mātua pele, sorry. Ko te... Kai he mai ke pulea hoki ni o pokoai hoki lawa te ieini a hoanau, pini hoka... Haka lingo hoki wena ona iei I nāno honga ana kalaputupotoa. Mai ko ke tuku mai ki lunga tātou ala leo tēnei, ke hakailo atu hoki ki te mamaloko lua, mo te mamaloko tō hoki e hakalongolongo mai pe mata mai ki tātou polokalame.
Ia ko te utahatau nei tēnei ko te kātunei no katau nukungi ai te hiwahakili he leni a te hoaili tēnei a te lauhinga no mai Sydney kia Holani e Nosa a pili ke le heoma ve nā hoki I a siaosi. Nā tokalahi te I mātou ie nei, nā la wātu ki te hekelinga hele ni poko te pōte nā te hatona. I mana i te matamatanga. He ngata ki nā pehepehenga kai mai hoki nā tāpena penanga nā tāpena aloa kia ki lātou. Māua matito nā laki he lulu. Te mana i ko te mātongi. Kai ewe ia i te hakatahi atu tātou kai ngā Tokelau, langona lawa te huia ki te tātou kai ngā Tokelau Brisbane nei. Ki te heo ani haka alia. E vea na matamata uma ki tātou nai ei. Kai mai hoko kolua nā matamata mai lunga nā lai. E he koe loa kai ia te au, nā langona lele aku e au te huia ki te hokatahinga. Ni tito, e hako au, ki te hokatahinga mana ia tēnei taho tōnai. Ia a tōnu kua lewa hoki te tātou manako mea ki la aua te lahui ngāno ki malanga mai ki nei Brisbane nei. Kai ona ko te tūlanga o te kōpiti huluiwa tēnā nā e whainga tā ai ni, e uma te tāpena nā tikiti o cancel o nako nā mewena. Ia tēnei nā taunuku ma te manuia i te weekend taluai nei, ki te atu lawa te huia o nā kāinga, he ngata i lunga ki nei Brisbane nei, ka vena hoki nā kāinga nā matamata mai lunga nā live. Kai whakahetai lahi lele ki te haili tēnei a te lauhinga no. Ia a tonu veo na toi hoki atu ai ki la toi te hana nahi ki Brisbane, oi ki Sydney, Tulou. Ia veo lawa na tātou i loa ki te mama o nā wala, ia ko te ki la tau na tau nuku ma te manuia. Ia he tau ma te hoki la e mālo lo lelei, ka ko heki toi hoki atu ki nanga luenga. Ka e hewe ke tuko tawa no ki tātou te mana tēnei ki a tito, ke tuko atu ai hoki hana te mākupu hoka taula pa ki te pō, ni? Ki te pō taho tōna i velo wana e mana i kai e. Ia?
Ia, moko lua lana e hakatahi ki te hakatahingi tēnei, ki te hiwa tēnei, hekili he linia nā hui i nei. Ko te mea na ki te epe na langona hoki toko tangata tēnei te mana ia. Te mana ia he ngata ki te tokalahi ki lātou na omo mai o ia pōti na uhi i nei mai Sydney. Mai atonu hoki na langona e ki lātou te huia hoki. Ki te kila mai te ki tātou e o mai hakatahi ma hea pōti a lātou tau muhainga. Tokelau ko tēnā ko la, tēnā ko lawa te mea te tau na hai, ni? Heo he mea e tau hai ki e tau hanau Tokelau, tātou hoki lawa te tau na iei. Aua, ko te manako mea te hea poti a te tangata poko tā ua. Heo he mea e tau hai ki ei ki tā ua, e manui ai hoki ma lele e hoki nā tau mhainga, e langona e hoki, e tono e langona hoki nā auhi e nei, te huia, ona, ko te ki kila mai ki tātou e hepoti ake ki te lātou tau mhainga i te hatonai. Ia? Nā iei te ni maha honga.
Ia, hawe ia i nā maua hea wanoa ke tala noa ai ni, ia vela wana e mātau mai ki tātou ki te mamao o Sydney ma Brisbane, ia ko te vāenga ki tēnei na drive. Kai ke tau mahai atu, ke tātua tātou pehe, kai ke hea kilikili hoi ia pili, ni? Alongolongo mai.
Koulua tonu hoki ki te tātou pehe tēnei hokalongona ma koulua ki ei. I te aha tōna hoki lawa aua e te tau hoki lawa on hokailoa nei atu. Ewe kona tina ie nei na kona mātua hoki. Na o mai hoki ki te hakamoemoe te ia o te lauhingano i te hau tōnai mai Townsville. E ilo hoki e mamao nā wala nā oihoi nā ka inga i nei. Kai e momoli atu lawa te meni aloha anga hoki a te ana mātu i nei, wana kaukauna i nei, tālohia na wapā koutou ma te hihia. Na haunga le mu koutou e tue hoki ma te mamao nā wala na kui a koutou. Kai atono hoki e hau he taimi wa e te tau hoki lawa vea na tue hakatala no mai i te message ki nā auhei e nei mai Sydney. Atono e ke pāki te wai aha te ka hau, ka ulia ki tātou proklame, ia atonu e tuku tuai he lātou haka he tailahi ki te mamalu ko lua na hakatahi mai i nā haka moemoenga na ia i te hato nei ko te kātu nei. Kai e wē nā kila naka ilo atu ki nā training nā tamangi e ki te Neti Polo, ki te Challenge of the Nation, ko te hato nai nei, ka he aini tātou trainings mo te hato nai tēnei. Haka moe te hokatahi ki tātou i te tahi wai ahe watu i tahi tō nai, hato nai mo tātou training. Kai he wei e tuku ai hoki lawa e te tau hoki lawa, kai he ini tātou trainings i te tau hoki lawa pe hawari wali pe olo hai lawa a tātou exercise i loto lawa a tātou kāinga. Ua hoki lawa nā tahanga i nei, ia ka he fit lawa te tino, ia matua hela, he mahai ke tongi te polo. Ia, ke tuku atu ki tuku hea, pe e hoki ni ana.
Ia, tonu ko nā training si te hato nei, ko iluma nei, haka manatu atu, maha ka ilo atu, haka mole ka haiko koe fia tā hao, ka kohe ki pātua lawa ki nā kole ni, te se sioa opportunity ke o atu ki nā kole ni e haka iloa he taimi mua, te taimi o nā kole ni te vai aheo ni, he ko te vai aheo nei, ka ko te vai aheo o na hoki ko te aheo he hulu ma le 5 o he tema haka ngata i te o tanga o tātou tōnginga. Ko tana winga e umalo te hahulu 5 he ki o tātou tōnginga, he e tātou tōnginga. Ko te ai la mo ko ulua hui taha whao mo Tokelau, ka wina kau te ingoa o Tokelau i nā kau ienei. Nā kau ienei i kau mix te Neti Polo ni, te opens. Kai loa mai ma kawawawe atu ia pe message mai hoki pe wili mai ki te au te oha ono, tahi walui wahitu tolu. Oha ono, tahi walui wahitu tolu. Ia pe ko ene sekia i lunga te messenger. Ia mana tua kona taumahainga i nei, ke represent hoka lei Tokelau nā takalonga te Challenge of the Nations, te Neti Polo tauhanga nei. Mana tua ka tahu huluiwa, ma tahu luhulu ono o ki topa. O i November, haka tau nuku ai te tournament tēnei. Nā ieni mokomokonga, mani hoka moemoenga, ke ieni e tahi kauhoka o popo, ia kai ona hoki lawa nā tūlanga e hakahuenga me ki tātou loto ka inga, ia ato nukua lawa vei ia tātou kau hewi loi, mo nā e kiki lātou lau matu hui ki nā taumhainga tātou whanau ni Tokelau. Taimi nei, ka tuku atu ki atoa. Awala ku tali umani tātou polokalame, ke tāmahe tātou pehe, oi ku hakawa. Awa wai tātou polokalame.
Kiva i malua te moana malua te moana. Ole ngakana e lau a kia ia malele. Kukua ke te waka ki matare. Ole ngakana e lau a kia ia malele. Kukua ke te waka ki matare. Kukua ke tiwai malua te moana. Kukua ke tiwai malua te moana.
Ya, tēnā korokolo makolua, ka hai ko tātou ku kira ki tātou taime, ia, ku tau pāho ki taime tēnei, e wakato hai, nā he polokalami e nei, mua te mamalu kolua, nā kalongolongo mai, pe mata mai hoki ki tātou polokalami, kai mai he hoki. Kolua ki te tamana tēnei, ki a Sam Pānapa, i wena hoki te uho tēnei ki a Ilai Manu, Manu, tu hei hoki mana ma te o mai ki lunga tātou polokalami tēnei, ia kei tuku mai hoki, ni hakamatalango hoki, tu hei hoki mana mea he ngai ma ki nātou, kai mai hoki nā tamu hainga, ma ki rātou hoki ki te mamalu, o tātou whanau, ni ki te ki nā tāhanga i nei, i te liki. Kai, ko lua nā puli, ko te email address Sam, ko Sam, Pānapa, 0@gmail.com, o i biliki ei, hoi ki ane ni ahu hili, kai koe hia malamalama. Ia kau ko tito hiki e polivia, nā e tamhai atu ma te malu ko lua e tu hai hoki ma tātou polokalami te ahu i tēnei, ke Yehova e te tāwā, toha koutou.
Ia, vena hoki ko mangalo mai ni o mahehe, te hanei. Ia, ke hakamalia tu hoki kua he maha lelo na he kai toku hiukalaki ka koutou mata mai tu lau, wana he ki te atu. Kai ngā lawa ni taumahainga ana hoi polokalami tahi au tēnei Tokelau. E tali tonu na hakamalia ngia te hokalongolongo. We always try and strive to do better every week. Ka he taila he lele te hakatahi mai, ka he tai hoki te share tātou polokalame manatua. It doesn't hurt, share te tātou polokalame. Awa ko taime nei, mānai a lele Tokelahi ki tātou te matamatanga. Taime nei a ki lātou ve lua ahwe mauntupu. Ko te iai e hui te loto ki te ki nā taumohainga nā kaukau nei e nei. Manatua Tokelau, e pele i Tokelau. Tātou to he tau i te vai aheo, ke manuia te vai aheo katoa. Kai haka he taila he lele hoki ki a toa lei. Thank you, Toa, for helping us very soon. Ka mahai ki māua haka ngā lue, need the computer. But for the time being, be kind. Māua e aloha atu. Toha Tokelau.
eyes on knowing more. Now the future is unfolding, and the stars above us glowing. There is no more time for sorrow, but the promise of tomorrow. And we are one, thankful for the things to come. And all the nations they will see.